Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, you know what to do. Please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. Thanks so much for the Patreons that I do have that help support this channel. Much appreciated. And remember, folks, it's just whiskey. Today we are going to be talking about and reviewing the newest incarnation from Torabhaig, the second distillery on the island of Skye in Scotland. Of course, the first and only for many, many decades and centuries was Talisker. But now Torabhaig is settling in on the island of Skye, and we're going to be reviewing the new Cask Strength Allt Gleann release. But just a quick recap on how Torabhaig started, where they are now, and where they're going and where they're going to be. So it started off with the inaugural release. They called it the Legacy Series, and this says 2017 on it because that's when the distillery first started distilling. So this first offering was released in the spring of 2021. Okay. Then, and this was all in first fill ex-bourbon barrels. Then the second release, they called it Allt Gleann, and that was released in the fall of 2021. But then in 2022, they had a second batch, okay, a second release of the Allt Gleann, which I do not have, and I do want to get. And I think the only way you're going to tell the difference between those bottlings is if you look at the laser code on the bottom back of the bottle. So mine says 2021 on it, so I'm going to need to look for the 2022 laser code on the back for that. And so the Allt Gleann was matured in first fill and refill ex-bourbon. Okay. So there was actually 3 releases. So this is actually, the Cask Strength is actually the 4th release batch-wise, okay, in the series. Then, fast forward, okay, sometime later this year in 2024 through 2025, they're going to have their next release is going to be called, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but Knock Namoin, okay, and the Knock Namoin, I'm not sure how many batches they're going to have of that. It's definitely going to be 1, but it might be 2 batches. Like the Allt Gleann, but that's going to be a combination of ex-bourbon, ex-oloroso, and ex-PX, all matured. So there won't be any finishing in there. So these are in the warehouse as we speak, on deck later on this year to be married together, and that's what that release is going to be. Then in 2026 through 2027, they're going to have their final batch in the Legacy Series called Alt Brioche, okay? And that's going to be ex-bourbon and ex-Madeira casks maturation. And then after that, in 2028, they're going to have their 10-year, the Torabhaig 10-year. And I do not know what the combination is going to be, but that's what's going to happen. So I've reviewed the inaugural release from Torabhaig, and I've also reviewed the Allt Gleann. Both of these, all of them, are non-chill filtered, no coloring added. But the first release and the first Allt Gleann, they brought down the 46% ABV, and the first one here. Again, first fill ex-bourbon, the pre-distillation ppms was between 55 and 60 with a residual ppm of 16 ppm. Okay, and we're going to explain that a little bit more when we talk about the cask strength. We're almost there, folks. Hang on tight. Then with the Torabhaig Allt Gleann, okay, again, first fill and refill, ex-bourbon. The pre-distillate ppm on this was a little bit more. Okay, this was 77 parts per million, phenols parts per million, with a residual of 17 ppm. So a little bit heavily peated than the original one. Now fast forward to the cask strength. The cask strength, the pre-distillate ppm phenol level was over 78 ppms with a residual ppm of 22.8. Okay, and what's really cool about Torabhaig, they're very transparent. Their labels tell you all this. So basically, a pre-distillate ppm, where I love Bruichladdich, but Bruichladdich kind of uses it as a gimmick with their octomores, in that they are telling you, like, 100 and something ppm or 200 ppm or 300 ppm. Those parts per million are pre-distillate measures, and then after, so that's what that's what the barley is peated at. Then once it goes through the distillation process, it really drops significantly, and you're left with your residual ppm that it's putting casks barrels at. So just a quick on the one thing on the new cask strength, the only thing I don't really care for, the first two bottles didn't have any packaging, but the new one, this is a pretty rugged cardboard box, and it has this square top on it, and when it's on all the way, it's very hard to get off. So I'm just going to leave it off for now. But it shows you how transparent. It tells you everything you want to know in the label here. So they're telling you that it's American oak, ex-bourbon, time in the casks. So this one actually, it's actually age dated, and time in casks 60 plus months. So this is a minimum of 5 years old. Peat in the grain is 78 plus ppms, and the residual peat is 22.8, which we just talked about, and the cask fill strength was 63.4% ABV with a bottling, they brought it down to a bottling strength of 61.1% ABV. All right, I think that was interesting. But now you want to come here for the review of the cask strength. So again, I reviewed the first two releases. Look for those reviews. But basically, on the nose, you're getting melons, apples, orchard fruits, and candied fruits. The peat is there, but it's not so much in the forefront as what we have over here with this bad boy. So the first one, again, it's peated, and then they up the peat a little bit to the Allt Gleann, but even though these are different, they're kind of like literally apples and melons and apples and pears. Okay, that's kind of how I would describe them. So over here now, let's just get to the review of the cask strength, which has just released just a few months ago, and at the end of 2023. The bottling, in case anybody wants to know. So this was bottled, wow, actually, yeah. So it was bottled in July 27th of 2023, but it didn't hit the States until just about a month or so ago. And this bottle is 750 milliliters. Yay! The price on the cask strength depending on where you go, is going to be between $70 and $85. I believe I paid a little less than 70 as a pre-sale release on this. I believe it might have been a little less than 70, but right around there. Okay. All right. On the nose, much more peat. Even some medicinal peat in there, some antiseptic. Definitely getting a little vegetal note in there. The fruits are there, but they're really masked. They're there, but they're masked by that heavy peat. And this is a ballsy, heavily peated offering right here. You're getting a little bit of vanilla. The fruits are there, and the longer you leave this open, the more almost every time I smell it, I'm getting a little bit different, but a little bit more. So sometimes the fruits come out in a waft, and then sometimes they're not as noticeable. Also getting a little bit of citrus peel in there, more like lemon lime citrus peel. All right, on the palate. You're getting a blast of flavor. Very powerful. A lot going on there. Sweet, astringent, tannins. The fruits are there. Pepper, oak spice, salinity. There's definitely some salinity there. Some salt. Could be brine. Okay. So let's say a little briny note. I'm getting on the palate that on the nose that lemon peel transitioned into an orange peel on the palate. Still in the citrus family. A little bit of the fruits are there. Candied fruits. And maybe a hint of aniseed in there as well. Not much, but a hint. The finish transitions everything I described as I was describing it. It goes from sweet and powerful to sweet, sour, astringent, the tannins. It finishes with a dryness to it. The oak spice is still lingering there. Melon is in here. Melon definitely. Melon is in these melon is a prominent note in all the Torabhaigs. In case you haven't figured out, Torabhaig is my favorite new distillery. So, I mean, they started in 2016, but their first distillate, my understanding, is 2017. So time flies, folks. But yeah, they are the most interesting to me. I like Odd and American as well, but Torabhaig is my little, not my little, it's my favorite new distillery. Maybe even some cola notes in there. Root beer, Coca-Cola as well. It's punchy, it's ballsy, it's peaty, it's smoky. Some of the lighter nuances that were in the earlier offerings are a little bit masked by the peat. In my opinion, it's maybe a little too much peat on there at this point, but it doesn't concern me right now. I think it's where we're at now with them, and I'm on the journey with their evolution, and it's really cool to see the transition that they're heading in. So I'm really looking forward to the next release. That's going to be the Oloroso PX and Ex Bourbon. That should be interesting. And then in the next couple of years from then, the Madeira influence. I'm looking forward to that. And then the 10-year, it'll be interesting to see what they decide on how they're going to, what kind of makeup they're going to do with that. But it's something to look forward to. And I think, in my opinion, so far, the evolution that I see, I think the 10-year is going to be worth waiting for. All right. Score-wise on Torabhaig, Cask Strength, released in 2023, the Allt Gleann. I'm going to give it, on my new scale, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, meaning it's very good. My older reviews on both of these, I scored these higher, but I've become more conservative with my scoring. But there is a significant difference between this Cask Strength and these first two that I have over here. So I could go on, but I think I've covered just about everything. I hope that was helpful. If it is, give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. Remember, folks, it's just whiskey. Hats off to you all, and take care.